11-0. They have outscored their adversaries. Looking to add to it. Lazar to the cup for two. Carly Lazar. 422 back set. Here is the winner for Emilee Cook. There goes Strong with it. Oh, how about that? I'm always pretty well there to right. Going back to Gilpin and it's gone. A grand slam.
Welcome into another edition of Season Preview here on the Carlow Sports Network. Today talking men's and women's golf at Carlow University. I'm Sean Meyers, joined by the sixth-year head coach for both teams, Ryan Shank. Ryan, thank you for doing this. Excited to talk about your team's upcoming. And I know you've already gone halfway through your season with the fall season, now getting ready for the spring. I'm sure there's a lot of excitement and anticipation to get back out there.
Yes, it's always good to get back out there.
And certainly hoping that the weather cooperates. Look like it should be pretty nice over the next couple of weeks. So let's talk a little bit about the fall season. We'll begin with the men's side. How did you evaluate your team's performance?
I looked at the men's team as much improved. Like I said, we have three seniors on the squad. All of them played progressively better through the fall. Jake had a great USCAA tournament. Lucas shot his personal best at the USCAA. Justin played well. Riley, as a freshman, played solid golf. So I would say we improved each and every match. And then once we got to the USCA, we were playing pretty good golf.
And college golf is interesting because it's split between the fall and then you have the winter off, yes, and then you get back at it this spring. But I'm sure there's an opportunity to kind of focus on where your golfers need to improve. So amongst the men, what was the focus throughout the winter?
Just confidence. I really think that at times we lack some confidence in certain parts of our matches. Where we'd have one bad hole would lead to two bad holes, would lead to three bad holes. We can't afford to do that. We have to be focused, mentally tough. And so I personally believe that if you put the work in, then your confidence should be good, no matter how you play. So when we hit the end of the fall season, we tweaked a couple things here and there with each kid. We sit down and meet with them and say, listen, this is what you need to work on over the winter. We have the simulator available on campus, so they can go down there and work on their game over the winter. So most of them did that.
You have a roster that has three seniors on it, along with the one freshman. How important is it to have those veterans?
Tell you what, they really rallied around Riley and kind of showed him the ropes, but the three seniors, they worked so well together. Jake especially, really, and they would sit and talk about their swings and talk about their rounds and talk about their games and how they can improve. And a lot of times, they did more of the coaching than myself and Coach Mandak did. So it was just kind of just listening to them and making sure that we were all on the same page. But yeah, their senior leadership is awesome.
And you mentioned the one freshman, Riley Stevenson, and he's from a Keysport area, which you know very well.
Yes.
What were some of the promising traits that you've seen in him so far?
Riley, off the tee, is one of the most confident golfers that I've ever seen at Carlow. And then his attitude was the same, no matter if he was playing well or if he was playing poorly. So to me, that's important. If you have that stability of just focusing on your next shot and your next shot, I think he was actually, as a freshman, I think he's best at that out of anybody in our group this year. So I was pleased with his progress through the fall.
You talked about making steady progress from the start of the season to where you left off. So where are the goals and the objectives now heading into the spring?
Get better every day. that's our objective and our goal every season. One of the catchphrases that I like to use all the time is your next shot is your best shot, and so we strive to do that on a daily basis. So that's the main goal, is just to improve.
You talked about competing in the USCAA, but you also had the fall preview in the River States Conference. So looking ahead to the spring, when you look at the RSC, what are some of the teams that stand out?
Midway is always a quality. It's a good program. And usually IU Kokomo is up and coming. But all the schools are, since I've started, have shown improvement across the board. So it's always interesting to watch the leaderboards there and see how they pan out.
Let's shift focus now to the women's team. Same question I asked you about the men. How did you evaluate the performance in the fall season?
About the same. I mean, I really think that we showed improvement every match. And again, we had 2 freshmen. We have a graduate senior who's never really played competitive golf before. And then our 4th, Mia, she played 2 years with us and then took a year off. And then now so we kind of had 4 new people playing. So it was a lot of work as far as getting them ready for going to the RSC fall preview, going to the USCAA. That's what our matches are supposed to do, like our individual matches are supposed to do, is to get them ready for that. And I think the girls responded very well to the coaching, and I'm looking forward to the spring with those.
One of those freshmen, Emilee Miller, looked like she really had some good rounds, and she received some accolades for her play. What are the best attributes that she possesses?
Off the tee, she's unbelievable. Probably, other than Natalie Apt, I think she strikes the ball very well off the tee. Her mental game has to improve, but I think that halfway through the second round of the River States Conference, I think she got it. I really think that a light bulb went on and she realized what we were trying to get her to do each round and how to attack a course. And when she goes to the when she went to the USCAA, she was on point the whole day. So the whole 2 days. So it was good to see.
What are some of the objectives for the spring?
Same thing. Got to get better. We're looking for improvement across the board, both in the swing, but also mentally and thinking the game and attacking the course the way we want them to attack the course.
You talk so much about the mental aspect, and that's obviously huge. Anyone who's played golf understands that. You can, evaluate a swing and see that, but how do you see the mental aspect grow amongst a golfer?
I think it's repetition. I really think that, we only practice twice a week, but Fridays are our short game practice, and that's where most of the strokes are. You can actually, the drills that we do, putting and chipping, repetition, and all of a sudden, you just get it. It's a muscle memory thing, and sometimes it takes people the first semester. Sometimes it takes people a whole year. Sometimes it takes people 2 years. So it's just a process. I really think that if you put the work in, you put the time in, working on your swing in all aspects, then you should be confident over the golf ball, and the mental aspect shouldn't be a problem.
Whether it be a man or a woman, when you're recruiting an athlete, what do you sort of look for in terms of their traits?
I really ask 3 basic questions to recruits. Do you like the game of golf? Because there are students out there that don't like to play, but maybe somebody's making them play, or maybe they're good at it, or whatever. So that's the first question I ask. Then I ask, are you willing to get better, to put the time in? And are you competitive? Like, do you want to compete for something more than just being on a golf team, or being on a team in general? And that's been my coaching philosophy since I coached in middle school and 7th and 8th grade.
Halfway through, obviously, the fall season complete. Now we look at the spring. When you were coming up with the schedule, putting it all together, what were some of the objectives?
Prepare us for the RSC. Again, playing teams that are comparable to us, but also trying to put 1 or 2 matches in there where we have to go and play our very best against a very good team to try to compete against them. We have Geneva, Waynesburg, Franciscan. So they are good programs. They're comparable to us, but they provide that competitive edge because they're a little bit better than us, and so they strike the ball better. But that's what we're shooting for. Let's play good rounds and try to beat those teams. Yeah.
Home course for the Celtics is Yakigani Country Club. Very nice. I've been there before.
Yes.
I know it's hosted a lot of WPIAL championship events as well. What are some of the best aspects of your team playing there?
I think the terrain, again, the hills on the back 9 are tough to walk carrying a golf bag, but kind of gets us in shape. When we go down to Belterra, it's relatively flat. USCA, the blue course is relatively flat. So just kind of getting us in shape is really the main aspect. The greens prepare us for Belterra. The greens are very fast at Yak, so we have to be able to read well and make sure that we're focused and ready to go for the greens.
Your assistant, Joe Mandek, has been here the entire time throughout your tenure at Carlow. What are his responsibilities?
Joe, his responsibilities are very important to me. He is probably, he does most of the swing work, long driver, long irons. I'm the short game. I'm the mental aspect coach. But Joe played basketball for me at Penn State New Kensington, and he is by far one of the most conscientious people I've ever met. And I'm blessed to have Joe as part of the coaching staff. He does so much for us, and he loves every second of it. So it's a blessing to have Joe on the staff with me.
Final thing for you, what's your favorite aspect about coaching here at Carlow University?
Oh, the people. The people are unbelievable. Having one of my joys of coaching college athletics is bringing a high school senior in, seeing them as a freshman, and then moving through the process of how they mature, how they grow as a person, and then see them graduate and then move on to bigger and better things. And there's nothing better than, and it's a process, but it's something that I love doing. And I'm blessed to be a coach at the college level. I don't want to coach at the high school level anymore. And again, Carlow is a great institution academically. The people care about each other, and we treat the student athletes well here. And I appreciate the staff. I appreciate the AD. I appreciate all the upper, all the big wigs on campus, and so it's just happy to be here.
Well, Ryan, thank you for doing this. Glad to talk about your teams. Good luck heading into the spring.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Ryan Shank, head coach of the Celtics golf teams here on the season preview. We continue here on the season preview looking at Carlow University men's and women's golf. I'm now joined by a senior on the men's team, Jake Stariha. Jake, thank you for doing this. How's everything going with you?
Great. It's been a great start to the season so far. This weather has been super nice to us.
I'm sure that's nice. You get to go outside a little bit more often when the weather cooperates. Well, let's rewind back to the fall season. How did you evaluate your individual performance?
I struggled a little bit for sure. I struggled with my grip a lot, which is one of the key components of the game. I was just always going back and forth, and I could never really get comfortable with my swing. So every tournament, every event, I wasn't too confident going into. But I just kind of took that as I can improve this season and work from that and take what I learned from that and just kind of move forward as much as I can.
I think maybe you alluded to it with what you just said, but what have been some of the areas of focus throughout the winter?
The winter so far has been driver and a lot of wedges. I hit the ball far enough to the point where I can play most courses driver, wedge in. And I know that has to be my strength, but when I get to the range and stuff, it's tough for me to work on that. I'm so focused on other things, it can be difficult for sure.
Here in Western Pennsylvania, sometimes we get nice weather throughout the winter, but for the most part, I'm guessing you're not able to go out and play rounds of golf. So how do you work on your skills in doing that?
So I'll go to a place called Cool Springs up near Bethel Park, I believe it is. I work there a lot. We have a simulator down on campus. I enjoy working there. We've just done some work on that recently. And I'll watch a lot of YouTube, believe it or not, to try and find out some new things that I could work on or any techniques that others can offer me.
What's your best club?
I would have to say my driver. It's my best club and also my worst club, in the sense that when I hit it well, it's my best club. But when I can't get off the tee is when my scores really suffer. So, like I said, if I can work on that throughout this season, I think I'll be successful.
Looking ahead at some goals you might have for the spring, what do you have in mind individually and for your team?
Individually, I'd like to place in the top 20 at the conference championship that we go to in Belterra. Team-wise, I think I would like us to be in the top half of other teams and beat a few other schools that we have coming up here, such as Geneva and Waynesburg. I think that would be good for us.
You're a senior now, but let's look back to when you were making your decision. What led you to Carlow University?
It was mainly location, and quite frankly, it was the coaches. When I first got to meet the coaches, I could just tell that they were good guys and wanted the best for me. The programs here are amazing. I've truly had a great time.
You went to Kiski area in high school, and your 3 teammates also were from the WPIAL. Did you have any familiarity with them before you came to Carlow?
I did not, believe it or not. Actually, I believe Justin, he started golfing during college, so it's been very new to him. But they're all great guys. We've really bonded over the few years.
I'm sure you've played a lot of nice courses throughout your time here as a college golfer. Which one stands out as your favorite?
I would have to say it was, I got to play the Longview Club freshman year in Verona, and that was actually a course I've had the pleasure of working at over the past few years, so it was really neat to get to play there in an actual tournament.
Final thing, I know you said the coaches were a big aspect that led you to Carlow. What are the best qualities of Ryan Shank, your head coach?
I would have to say his dedication to our program, his charisma, and his optimism. He also has a full-time job that he works, so I know it can be really difficult for him to make it to practices, but he's always giving us 100%, and I think that motivates us to give him that 100% back as much as we can.
Jake, thank you so much for doing this. We look forward to a successful spring season for you.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Okay. We continue here on the season preview, talking Carlow University men's and women's golf. I'm now joined by freshman Emilee Miller for the Celtics women's golf team. And Emilee, you had a very successful opening season here with the Celtics in the fall. You were honored with the USCAA Golfer of the Week. What were some of the biggest factors in your immediate success here at the collegiate level?
I feel like growing up, my family's always been around golf, so all the time we're practicing at the golf club we're members of, and I have a brother, and it's kind of competitive playing with him, so I feel like that's been a big factor.
What would you describe as the best aspect of your game?
Probably getting off the tee with my driver. That's the club I have the most confidence with, so I feel like that helps me a lot, but yeah.
I mentioned that you were named the USCAA Golfer of the Week back in September, very early on in your career. I'm sure that meant a lot to you. What stood out about that accomplishment?
Seeing that, it kind of gave me more motivation that I'm already having success and I need to keep going and keep getting better.
So you're putting up some good scores, you're getting these accolades, but I'm sure it's not as easy as it looks necessarily being a freshman student athlete. What have been some of the biggest challenges you faced?
My classes so far have definitely been harder, and having a balance between practicing and studying, that's probably the hardest part.
Do you feel like the spring you're going to be in maybe a little bit of a better routine than when you first got here in the fall? So what goals do you have individually and for your team as we head into the spring season?
Starting out, I wasn't too happy with my scores in the beginning of the season last semester, but toward the end I started to improve, so I hope I keep improving. And then as a team, we didn't win as many matches. I think we won one, and I feel like we could win more because other girls, they have goals too, scores they want to beat.
Looking ahead at the spring, what match are you most looking forward to?
Waynesburg. That's a team we beat, and I feel like we can beat them again. When we played them, it was really close, so I feel like we could beat them by more.
Your coach talked about how on the women's side, it's a lot of people that are playing for the first time at the collegiate level. How have you tried to build chemistry amongst one another?
We have group messages, and we always talk, and not only about golf, so we kind of have a friendship and a trust between each other, and we'll go and get ice cream after, so it's nice having someone you can talk to off the golf course too. So yeah.
Go-to flavor for ice cream? This wasn't on the list, so I'm throwing you a curveball here.
Chocolate and vanilla twist.
Okay. Final question for you. What led to your decision to come to Carlow University?
I like the small school and the atmosphere, and I want to be in the medical field, so being downtown here in Oakland with all the hospitals, I felt that was going to be a benefit.
Well, Emilee, congratulations on the great fall season. Good luck heading into the spring.
Thank you.
That's Emilee Miller here on the season preview.